a motive to not be found, true?
Yes.
So you headed to execute a search warrant at Seth Kenny's prop house, right?
Yes.
And a judge signed off on that search warrant, correct?
Yes.
Because you had probable cause to believe that there was live ammunition that matched the ammunition that killed Miss Hutchins, right?
Yes.
And this was you and again Detective Hancock and Sergeant Zook, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, how come you executed the search warrant at night?
I don't recall.
And I wanted to ask you, how come Detective Kano waits outside?
I don't believe that Detective Kano was there the entirety of the search warrant.
So, well, while he was there, do you know why? Do you have any information as to why he didn't come inside?
I do not.
Before you went on the search, you discussed it with Detective Hancock, correct?
Yes.
And just like the truck we talked about, you all had done nothing to secure this prop house while before you got the search warrant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And tell the jury, how long did you wait to execute the search warrant at the prop house?
I don't recall.
Well, on direct examination, you knew the dates right away, don't you remember? You nailed it.
Oh,
10/27, November 30th. Right?
I apologize. I thought you were asking from when it was written to when it was executed.
Oh, no, I apologize. Yes.
We executed the search warrant on November 30th.
Okay, so that was a month and a week, at least, right, after the incident in question.
Yes.
Okay. And just like the truck, you're executing the search warrant, and who was there to help you?
Seth Kenny.
And your purpose was to find the matching ammunition, correct?
Our purpose was to locate any .45 caliber live ammunition.
Well, sure, but the ultimate investigation that you all were conducting was to try to solve the open question of how the lethal round got on a movie set, right?
Yes.
And you talked a little bit about this when we talked about the prop cart, how the disorganization of it could lead to commingling, right?
Yes.
How was the organization of the prop house?
This is all a big fat
Some
mess.
things were organized and some were not.
And at first I
Well,
thought
if you
guilty
give us
for
a
Alec
sense, did you
Baldwin,
find it to be more organized than the
but
cart, or less organized?
after hearing the defense,
I would say
I'm
they were
thinking
probably about
Alec
equal.
Baldwin is an actor,
And you knew
and the responsibility for what happened
that a dummy
falls
round can be turned
solely
into a live
on
round,
the
and a
shoulders
live
of the
round can be
person
turned into a
who
dummy round, correct?
was managing the
So a person with spent shell
props
casings
and
or
the
dummies, they
ammunition.
could reuse
So
them,
this is
correct?
very intriguing.
Yes.
That would be
What are your
economically efficient,
thoughts?
right?
Yes.
And you knew as you enter this search that some of the ammunition on the set of Rust definitely came from Seth Kenny, right?
Yes.
He admitted that, right?
Correct.
There were invoices he didn't have much of a choice, correct?
I mean, how tragic is it that a mistake
were
like this
also
could be
looking,
made and somebody be shot and killed?
For
In addition to the
tools
other
that could be used to
gentleman
manufacture
that after the bullet exited
live ammunition.
from the
and you're
cinematographer
also looking for
going through her
green
side,
ammo can.
through her
correct?
spinal cord, out of her back,
the
and then
white boxes
into
that
another
we
man.
keep
It's just so sad.
looking at
So
are-
sad.
They look like each other, right?
Correct.
A green ammo can is a more unique item, fair?
Yes.
So why don't you tell the jury why you were looking for a green ammo can?
I don't recall specifically, other than at some point in time it had housed live rounds.
And law enforcement had that
So
information
sad.
at the time of going to a judge to get the search warrant, and very much at the time that they were executing the warrant, right?
Yes.
And I don't want to belabor the white box conversation too much, but other than, I have to find it too, on the white boxes that you found at the set, and at the white boxes that you saw a lot of at Seth Kenny's, there were these initials in the middle of the white box that said JS. Right? I'll just show you A2, yeah. Right, that you found at the scene, correct?
Yes.
And if we look inside of Seth Kenny's prop house, A18, you see very similar font and signage, correct?
Yes.
And as you continue on in your search, you understood Seth Kenny was a person of interest, correct?
Yes.
And this was an important moment in the case, correct?
Yes.
And you even found out that the day before Seth Kenny provided the dummies to Rust, he had in his possession live
Oh, boy, that's awful.
Starline brass nickel primer from
Oh,
1883,
that's terrible.
correct?
I don't recall it being the day before or having that information personally.
Well, so let's leave the day before right now. You knew and understood that Seth Kenny had recently been in possession of Starline brass nickel primer live, correct?
I don't know that it was that specific, just that he was in possession of live
No.
ammunition in a recent
Terrible.
point.
Now, when you testified on direct examination, you told the jury about how you found some live ammo at the prop house, right?
Yes.
And how you took that live ammo and sent it to the FBI, right?
Yes.
And you sent the live ammo from the set of Rust to the FBI, right?
Yes.
And you're not an FBI agent, but what you told the jury was that when you compared the powder from the set of Rust's ammunition to Seth Kenny's live ammunition, they didn't look the same, right?
Correct.
And you testified previously. Well, let me just ask you, did you take all of the 45 live ammunition from PDQ into evidence?
Yes.
And did you search every single box inside of Seth Kenny's prop house?
Yes.
And because you did that, according, is this still, what is that? Did I do something? Or it just goes to sleep? Talking too much. And because you've told this jury now that you found every 45 live ammo there, correct?
Yes.
And that you searched every single box, correct?
Yes.
What you're telling this jury is they can be sure that if there was a live round on there that matched the set of Rust, you would have found it, right?
Oh.
Yes.
Let's take a look at A19.
That's really bad.
Is that one of the rooms inside of the prop house?
Yes.
You see those boxes packed all the way to the ceiling?
Yes.
Did you all have a ladder or anything when you guys were searching?
No.
Okay. So can we agree that you didn't search the
Not
boxes?
looking good.
I believe they were taken down or at least looked into. It was not just myself searching.
Why would you have
Well,
a
we talked about
movie
it.
set where you
Connor
know
was
you're doing a
outside, it was you
shootout,
and
a
Hancock
western,
and Zook, right?
and you don't have
Yes.
absolute
Okay.
100%
So, I mean, tell the jury, I
certainty
mean, did you or
that
did you
every
not
one of those blanks
search every
are
single one of
blanks
those boxes?
and not a real
We
round.
searched the entirety of
It
the
would make
property.
me nervous
What
just
do
to
you mean
point
when
a
you say
gun
that
at
you
somebody,
searched
even if I knew that it was
I mean,
blanks.
if a box is open,
It still would make
and
me
it is
nervous to
clear
pull a
that
trigger, not
there's
being
no ammunition in it.
1,000% sure that there's not a real bullet in
Meaning,
the
if I open a
chamber.
box and it's all
It's
clothing, and I
unthinkable.
look at the bottom of the box and it's all clothing, then we're not going to dump the box out on the floor and continue to shake it until rounds that aren't in there fall out.
But okay, sure. Were there any boxes like that?
There were a multitude of boxes.
Got it. So, are you telling this jury that you're on your oath that you searched every single box in this room? That's just all I wanted to know.
Not me personally. Our team reasonably searched the warehouse.
Reasonably
Okay,
searched.
and I think we're getting closer to, when you say reasonably searched, what do you mean by that?
I mean, how would you approach searching this kind of area?
Well, I can tell you that
Why is
one
she
from I know from
smiling?
the movies. Okay, I'll move on. Well, why don't you tell me? What's a grid search?
A grid search is usually conducted outside, where you would reasonably set up in a way that you could grid an area and then search each section on that grid.
Okay, and well, why don't you tell me, what would have been, if you wanted to be certain, the best way to search this room if you had unlimited resources and time?
I believe that when we searched this room, we divided the room in order for it to be searched.
Divided it how?
Meaning, myself took one section, Sergeant Zook took another section, Detective Hancock took another section.
Boy.
Are you certain of that, or are you at best estimate that that's what your memory tells you?
I do not recall exactly how the room was searched.
Okay, and then let's say you open up a box with ammunition. How would you search an individual box?
It would depend on the box.
So tell me.
If we open a box and it's all 38s, we're not looking for 38s at that time, we're looking for 45s.
Okay. And so if you opened up a box and it was commingled rounds, how would you do it?
We would have to go through those rounds individually.
Right, and there were boxes like that here, right?
There were a few, yes.
Okay. And how many rooms were there inside of this location that had lots of boxes in them?
There was the back room that we see here. There was a front room that didn't have many boxes, and then a side room that had nicely organized boxes.
And what about the bathroom? Weren't there boxes and ammunition in the bathroom?
There were boxes.
Does
in
the look on her
So
face
4 rooms, right?
Yes.
3 of you.
look
4
like
rooms,
someone
right?
who witnessed or was part to
820.
blame for an individual
What are
that
we looking
got
at here?
shot, that had a hot
This
bullet
here.
ripped through their
This
body, through their
was,
spine, where
a
that person
table that
bled
was
to death,
located in
and
the
another
side
person
room.
getting hit. Does it look like
And
her
what do you
facial
notice? I don't know.
expressions and
What do you notice
reaction
on
and the
this,
way she's
it's probably 'cause
talking,
of
does
me.
that match?
What do you notice on this
For a
table
person who
of,
was a witness to somebody dying,
What's on this table? What is this?
I don't get that.
There were plastic bags.
I don't get that.
Tools,
Well, I'm going to be
cleaning
following this whole
products,
trial, guys, and
And as we talked
just
about
wanted
before,
to pop this up here and
so
ask
it's
you
on
the
tools,
question,
tools, right?
who else is interested in this trial?
Okay.
I am
Detective
just
Hancock spent some
totally
time in this room
intrigued
during
by
the search,
this.
Correct?
And I wouldn't have known anything about it had
you
it
know
not
what
been
all
for
these tools
Caroline,
are?
bottom line Caroline, telling me about this yesterday. So I watched the opening arguments,
You don't
and
know
now
what
I'm
they can be
hooked.
done.
So I'm going to
You
have to
don't know how they
watch
can be used with
how this
either
plays out
firearms
and see
or
what
ammunition.
happens, and I'm kind of leaning towards
So tell
the fact
members
that I
of the
think they're
jury,
going after the wrong
which of these
person.
tools
I
you
don't
see.
think Alec Baldwin is the
We
one
do
that
not
should
take
bear
any
the
tools
responsibility
out
for
of
this,
the house.
especially after watching this
you were
individual
searching
and
this,
seeing what was going on
area,
behind
did
the
you have a
scenes.
schematic or
So
fulcrum?
that's all I'm going to sign out
Did you
for
go
now.
one room at a time, or did you split
But
up?
post your thoughts and let me know, are you going
Was there
to
a predetermined
follow
plan
this
of how to
trial?
search this into